I was actually going to start with a joke, and then I thought, no, it's kind of a serious subject. And I thought, yeah, really, it's good. Did you hear about the mermaid and the fisherman? They met online. And that's my week joke for today. Kind of fits in with the topic in a way. Everything is temporary. And he had italicized thing. Everything is temporary. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, pretty long quote actually. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So let bygones be bygones. Let things from the past go. And once again, Ernest Holmes and Frederick Bells. And Life is What You Make It. I've never heard of that publication before, actually. Life is What You Make It. So we've assumed what the inspired of all ages have proclaimed, that the divine reality itself never changes, although it is forever taking temporary form. So obviously our theme today is about, guess what? Yep, it's about the temporary nature of material existence. And Michael Gott begins with, there's an old story, one that has been used as an illustration in countless sermons. It's about a wealthy king who offered a reward for anyone who could answer the question, what will make me happy when I'm sad, and sad when I'm happy? None of his counselors or mages could solve the riddle. Finally, an old hermit came into the palace and said, I have the answer to the king's question. He was ushered into the throne room, where he produced a simple gold ring. The king said, this is nothing. I have the greatest jewels in the world in my treasury. Read the inscription, the wise man said. Inside the ring were written the words, this too shall pass. Michael Gott again. This is the temporal nature of incarnate reality, material existence, if you prefer. Everything we can point to or name or describe is temporary. This truth gives us solace when we experience a rough road in our journey, and it can evoke an ache in our hearts in our moments of highest joy. Yep, why? When we realize that this experience too is fleeting. He says our work in metaphysics is to bring the eternal and the infinite nature of the divine into the time-bound and finite experience of our lives. We have the capacity, the invitation really, to experience the abundant life of spirit. And it can happen only when we're fully present and do not clinging to form. He says, let go. Open your heart and recognize that the life you seek is already living in you. It's kind of like vacation, or where I came from, it was called holiday. We didn't say going on vacation, we said going on holiday. But maybe nowadays vacation is ubiquitous. I don't know. But anyway, I often think that when you're going to go on a trip, and especially when you're planning to do lots of different things, that the actual planning parts of it is more experiential and you get more of a kick out of it than the actual journey itself. Not always, but you know what I mean. There's lots of fun going into the planning of it. And then you go off on a journey, and I always remember as a kid, as a teenager, I used to go to Spain for a couple of weeks in the summer. Why? Because we didn't always get a summer where I came from. I grew up in Northern Europe, assuming that Britain is part of Europe. Anyway, I grew up in Northern Europe, the northern part of the British Isles actually, and we didn't always get a decent summer. So to make sure that we got sunshine, thousands, if not millions of people would actually go to Spain during the summer to get some sun. And I always remember the excitement when we got there in the first few days, and it was usually a 2-week vacation. I did Spain, or the Canary Isles was actually another place I used to go to, off the coast of Africa there in the Atlantic. But as it was coming closer to leaving, that sadness would creep in and think, wow, I've only got 2 days to go, got a day to go. Oh my God, tomorrow we got to get on the plane and get back to Britain. So that's what I think of when I think of the fleeting nature of things. But the other point of it is to experience things and to enjoy the experience while it's happening, because everything in life is temporary. Even the stars in the sky, right? The suns that are out there with who knows how many planets revolving around them, it's all temporary. The galaxies are temporary, albeit we're talking about billions of years. The universe, we don't know if it's temporary or not, but we know that everything in it is to some extent temporary. So, but my point is, enjoy your moments when life is really good. When life kind of takes a downturn, then just remember that too is temporary. So it's all good. His affirmations: I've no need to cling to the forms I knew before. If it's gone, it's gone, right? I have no need to cling to the forms that I knew before. I'm not 21 anymore. I've got to acknowledge that. But I'm grateful for what I am able to experience right now. I trust Spirit to continually bless me with new and higher forms that reflect my growing consciousness of good. This is a really long affirmation. I trust Spirit to bless me always. That's my affirmation. I trust Spirit to bless me always. And I'm grateful. Well, my colleague Reverend Lisa, who is much better at being on time than I am, will be back about 9:15 tomorrow. And hopefully, I'm going to try and absolutely get on here at 5 o'clock tomorrow, because I know people on New Year's Eve like to get out and celebrate. So that's it. So my prayer for everyone is that you're able, I'm knowing that each and every person is able to enjoy the wonderful moments, and in times which are not so high, to remember that this too shall pass. And I claim that this is the truth, and I release it into the mind of God, knowing that it is done, and so it is. And I will see you next time.